Tough time never lasts. Only tough people last.
Look, I've been in crypto for 6 years. This is hands down the strangest market I've seen and the weirdest I've felt. We are literally getting the announcements we dreamed of years ago, yet the price action, the sentiment, the overall consensus in the markets is terrible. The disconnect between retail and institutes is crazy. So is this just a pullback? A bear trap? Are the big players playing their cards close to their chest? Or is the cycle really over? Did we break away from the 4-year pattern, and are we better off selling what remains of our bags and walking away? What's up guys, I hope you're all doing well. Another market update video here. I've been enjoying making these lately. In times like this, I want to avoid bringing new altcoins to your guys' attention, as the unfavourable market conditions means the risk of losing money is high, and I don't want anyone in my community to suffer that fate. So today we'll discuss the charts for Bitcoin and Ethereum. We'll take a look at some fundamental analysis, see how we're looking macroeconomically, may squeeze in some quick therapy, and we'll look to discuss game theory and its implications. Remember, as always, whilst I am a financial advisor, none of this is financial advice. So Bitcoin has been as volatile as ever. We went from 86k all the way up to 94k and then erased all of that progress in just one day, and have since been on a subtle downtrend. We've seen us wick below the previous lows that were created recently, and I don't know, just seeing Bitcoin below 80k has seemingly scared a lot of people. I mentioned in my previous video about the CME gap not being filled all the way, so the possibility of us dropping down again still loomed over us, and that's exactly what happened. We've now filled the CME gap, which is, good. Does that mean a reversal is likely and that this marks the bottom? Not necessarily. We can still drop lower, going as low as the low 70s region. Would this concern me? No. I will be concerned, however, if we close below 70k and range there. That for me will be an extremely concerning move, and I will maybe potentially call for this cycle being over, and at best we could possibly put in a potential higher low. But yeah, it would be quite concerning if we start to close below 70k. But as for is the bottom in, I see this question asked every day and answered every day. Someone says the bottom is in, and then we end up going lower. The charts and sentiment can tell us one thing, but who can account for Trump? This guy is single-handedly moving the markets with just his tone of voice. The tariff wars are creating an increasing amount of investor uncertainty. We look as though we're recovering, and then bang, he could come out with some BS 75% tariff on Canada and we'll slide back down further. Playing the tariff uncertainty in the markets is dangerous, and clear moves up or down are somewhat distorted. That's why it's better to zoom out and be an investor or observer in these times as opposed to a trader. It makes it a little clearer in my opinion to see where we are headed if we look forward on a longer time horizon. Quick break to ask, why are you not in my Discord? It's 100% free, no questions asked. By being inside, you significantly increase your chances of making mega money this cycle. Nothing more to say, link is down below, I'll see you inside. For fundamental developments around Bitcoin, there's been seismic waves. Trump officially ordering the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve takes the cake, and this is monumental. If you've been subbed to my channel, you know last year I was speculating how huge this would be if it came true, and it's come true. We aren't seeing the effects on the market just yet, but it's early days. The president of the biggest economy in the world is wanting to build a reserve of Bitcoin. Any qualms about its legitimacy, authenticity, or whatever are squashed with this news, and it bodes very well for the future. We just have to zoom out. Now, whether this is just going to be seized assets or further buys, I don't know. Things can change very quickly. People were saying that the US will not add any more and just rely on what it seized in the past, which is around 200,000 Bitcoin. I personally feel that they will want to increase their supply, so will eventually be accumulating more Bitcoin. The rumor that I saw was they wish to reach 500,000 in Bitcoin, but it's early days speculation right now. Overall, this is a huge development. On top of this already mega bullish news, we've had the announcement of the digital assets stockpile. This is to be another reserve of certain assets, which so far includes Solana, Ripple, and Cardano. This is fantastic for these dinosaur coins, but also great for altcoins in general. Again, whether they buy further or rely on seized assets is all speculative right now, but it legitimizes and shines a spotlight on alts. Ethereum is of course to be included alongside Bitcoin, and Trump described both of these two as the heart of the reserve. We also had the crypto summit take place at the White House. Big names in attendance, Michael Saylor, Brian Armstrong amongst a few. Not gonna lie, I watched parts of the live stream and I got kind of bored. It wasn't as groundbreaking or whatever as people maybe expected, hints on regulations and tax, but it just shows the strides we're taking in crypto. Like I said earlier, I've been here 6 years, and what I'm seeing now, news like this being normalized and absorbed by the markets, is just insane to me. It indicates that big manipulators are having their fun here, subduing and controlling, toying with investors for the time being. But the magnitude of the developments we've had this year will not be ignored forever, and there will come a point when the dam bursts, and that's exactly what we're waiting for. As for the king of alts, it's been business as usual. Shit. This crap coin continues to underperform, dragging the rest of the altcoins down with it. It's down over 50% in 2-3 months. Have I given up on ETH yet? No. I unfortunately remain stubborn in my conviction on Ethereum. Just how last year we had tons and tons of inflows into Bitcoin with no reflection in its price before all of a sudden we shot up, I still think that's yet to come for ETH. The ETFs have been seeing huge outflows over the last month as investors panic and sell, linked more so again to greater market conditions as opposed to Ethereum directly. That's natural, but there's still $9 billion worth of assets under management, and all we need is to see a reversal before the crazy inflows come in again. As for whether the price goes up or down in the short term, either scenario is plausible. Medium to long term though, it's gonna go up. It has to go up. I have been accumulating ETH recently, so yeah, it fucking better go up. But nah, in all seriousness, I struggle to see a scenario where, in optimal conditions, ETH doesn't rally again. We don't get to 4 or 5k, we don't break all-time high and climb further. This is an asset offering real yield and APY, which will be attractive to many investors, institutes and retail. If people think Bitcoin is too expensive, they'll look at the second largest asset and so on. There's many reasons, we just gotta be patient. Although looking at relative strength compared to Bitcoin, ETH BTC is at May 2020 lows. Horrific viewing, but could we reverse here? We rallied a little bit after this level prior, so hopefully. This chart just perfectly depicts the performance not only of Ethereum, but all of our alts against Bitcoin so far. Let's touch on the macros real quick. Global liquidity has been on a steady incline as I've been mentioning for weeks now, and Bitcoin tends to follow this trend with a couple months lag. M2 global liquidity is also on a similar pattern. That would put a bottom and reversal for Bitcoin around the end of March time if we are to continue following this trend. So yeah, something to keep an eye on in the next few weeks. The dollar has been on a sharp fall. I wanted a downtrend, but I didn't expect something this steep. Still a little bit far off the region I'd like to see it at, but it's looking very providential for risk assets. Keep in mind the markets are in weird times right now though. Risk assets like crypto and the S&P 500 are falling, whilst the dollar is also falling. Short-term investor uncertainty maybe, mainly driven by Trump's tariff shenanigans. This guy really ain't giving us a break, is he? It's so hard to predict or assume what's gonna happen. We can make observed and educated guesses, but it all goes out the window when he comes up with something new every day. Is it just a ploy to cause markets to crash, to put pressure on the Fed to cut rates, so he gets a weaker dollar and lowers trade deficits? Is it 4D chess from Donald? I fucking hope so. Speaking of the Fed, trueflation is at 1.32% apparently, and we had CPI data come in today better than expectations, 0.1% lower than expected, which shows inflation is cooling. Again, puts pressure on the Fed to cut rates and bodes well for the future. The market did dump after this, but that was probably going to happen regardless of whether the news was positive, negative, or expected. We're just in those kind of times right now. All eyes are on the FOMC meeting next week. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll get a rate cut this soon, but if they can just be a bit more bullish in their tone and insinuate that they'll be on the way, that'll be great. We seem to be pricing in more and more rate cuts these days, which is good, but timing is key. We need some green back in the markets. Investors are feeling stressed, depressed, and the longer it goes on, it won't be beneficial for the economy. I'm sure the Fed have this in the back of their mind. So the main thing that I wanted to discuss today is game theory. Let's ignore short-term price action. Let's ignore the volatility. Let's zoom out and think smart here. I studied economics at university, so I'm familiar with game theory. But if you don't know, game theory revolves around interdependence, how players are focused on each other's actions, and how an individual's action or inaction affects everyone else. As an analogy, think of a poker game. Every move from an individual is scrutinized, bluffing, tells, reading opponents, all of it. You aren't going to be a great poker player if you aren't focused on your opponent. This is also a great movie, by the way. There are two key concepts that I want to highlight and will link back to later. The first one is called the Nash equilibrium. This is a state where no player can improve their outcome by changing their own strategy, with everyone else's strategy remaining fixed. The second is the prisoner's dilemma. This is a paradox which illustrates how two parties acting within their own self-interests can lead to a suboptimal outcome. You're probably thinking, what is this guy waffling about? But let me land. So how does this apply to crypto, and why am I bullish on the potential game theory at play here? The US and Trump announced the SBR, a reserve of Bitcoin, the first global superpower to do so, with rumours of a no selling allowed policy. Hodl, hodl, hodl. They also announced a separate digital assets stockpile for altcoins. So, linking to game theory, what do you think America's competitors slash rivals slash opponents will think? What will the Russians or the Chinese be thinking? Have America already forced their hand? And do they really want to risk being left behind? In my opinion, of course not. And it wouldn't surprise me if they already have began some accumulation. And the same with other nation states too. The UK, the EU, Japan, Singapore, whoever. They have all seen what the US is doing, and internal discussions will no doubt be taking place. It all doesn't have to be for the same strategy though, for the reserve. One nation may use it as a hedge against dollar dominance, another may look for digital reserves, geopolitical leverage, others may have different strategies entirely. The game, however, has been set in motion and can be viewed like an arms race for Bitcoin. Bringing it back to the Nash equilibrium, the players are the major holders, either nation states or huge entities. Let's use the US and China and assume Bitcoin is at 100k. The game is deciding whether to hold or sell Bitcoin as awareness heats up. The equilibrium will emerge when everyone's strategy stabilizes. Say they both choose to hold or accumulate because selling would crash the price, which obviously hurts themselves, whilst holding or buying keeps it steady or even pushes prices up, benefiting them all. If they're all locked in a standoff and all hold or buy, prices will rise, everyone wins. This shows how Bitcoin can stabilize at a higher price or even increase. Everyone is stuck winning together unless someone panics. Then we got the prisoner's dilemma, which is about trust or lack thereof. Everyone could benefit from cooperation, but often don't because self-interest drives them to defect, leading to a worse outcome for everyone. Do the major players decide to cooperate on adoption, i.e. make Bitcoin the global reserve asset, or compete aggressively, like wanting to hoard for dominance or dump the markets to hurt the other? Looking at this table, hypothetically, if both parties cooperate, we will get the optimal outcome, increasing Bitcoin's price. But it shows how if one or both parties defect, we could still get the increased swings and volatility. If China dumps whilst the US holds, they cash out and the US's reserve decreases in value, so in the short term, it's a China win. Vice versa for America. Again, it's in everyone's best interest to cooperate. I don't know, this is just something I found interesting. The point is, one by one, adoption should increase. Now, what will increased demand do to a finite supply? There's only 21 million Bitcoin, remember, and apparently 5 million are already lost. So 16 million to split between the nations, larger corporations, big whales, whatever. That's right, it will drive price up to crazy levels, and it will lead to many dilemmas. Nations will want to buy before others, but by buying, the price will be driven upwards. This incentivizes early movers and punishes those who are lagging, hence why it could literally lead to an explosion in price. I remember saying back in November that an official SBR means that there can no longer be any Bitcoin price predictions considered far-fetched. Bitcoin to 250k? Sure. 500k? That's doable. 1 million? I actually don't see why not. Now, I'm not saying this year. I've been saying over the next 5 years, there genuinely is no ceiling. We could go absolutely berserk with the Bitcoin price. It just depends what figure these nations target. There's rumors of America wanting 500,000 Bitcoin. China may want to match this, as will Russia. And altogether, with just those three countries, that's like 10% of the available supply. Large firms will want maybe 5-6 figure amounts, the numbers are just crazy. Bitcoin is currently just a $1.6 trillion asset. For comparison, gold is $20 trillion. Bitcoin is supposedly digital gold, right? But more rare. If game theory plays out, do we expect Bitcoin to surpass gold's market cap? To reach, $1 million plus in price? All hypothetical, but it's very interesting when you put it in perspective. And we are very early to it happening. To say right now that you are likely to buy Bitcoin at a cheaper price than other countries is pretty impressive. On top of all of this, that's just Bitcoin. Some countries, as I alluded to earlier, may believe Bitcoin is too expensive and switch the strategy to other digital assets directly. Ethereum, XRP, Solana, altcoins get their flowers, which drives interest and intrigue. Suddenly people start looking at lower cap coins, liquidity flows, innovation increases, all of it. And those that are early, who chose the right projects, understand the markets, and have some luck on their side, they stand to benefit massively. We'll close on the therapy couch. I changed the guy's head to be a bit more frustrated, to align better with how you're probably feeling. But yeah, you're still down on your portfolio. The volatility doesn't help. 1 second it looks like the bottom is in, we reverse, and then a few hours later we dump again. And you're pissed. You regret not taking profit, even though I have said many times last year to take some at various points, although I do resonate with this. I took some profits here and there, but in full transparency, I'm not happy with my profit taking either. So what do? Sell at a loss right now and forget about crypto? If we aren't at the bottom right now, we are very close to it. A reversal will be inbound, the macro data doesn't lie. Liquidity on the rise, rate cuts looking more likely. We just gotta ride it out. Yes, not all of your alts will recover, I get that. But in optimal conditions, we can make our money back and more with the right mindset. Quick trades, cash a few 10x's, and you'll forget about this hardship. It's hero or zero time for the remaining months we have left. Remember, new projects and narratives may come around, and I'll be bringing them to you here and on Discord, except this time, you'll be more aggressive with your profit taking and will recoup losses. I'll be forcing you to take profit. But anyway, that's it from me, people. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Join my Discord, it's completely free, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care.